Hey everyone, Jim T. Graham with RCGroups.com, and today we're looking at something that you'll find interesting if you're an FPV pilot or if you have aspirations of being an FPV pilot. This is a very tiny but powerful FPV camera made by Eachine. It's the TX02. So there it is, sitting on top of the box, and there it is in relation to my hand. That is how small this thing is. Um, Here's the interesting part. It is 200 milliwatts, which is a pretty large amount of power if you're flying in a field or just around. You know, usually a camera this size is 25 milliwatts. So 200 milliwatts is lots of power, compact size, and this is something you could run on something like a small quad or a tiny whoop or something like that. And so let's talk about the weight. The weight is 4.57 grams. So it weighs almost nothing. Of course, as you can see in the image here, there's no case, which is cool. And it actually has, for such a small camera, a pretty interesting feature set. And we're about to switch images and take a look at what I'm talking about. On the back, well, let's talk about channels. It has 40 channels. And on the back, it actually has an LED screen, which will allow you to see the ABCD and the number of the channel that you're on, which is always good because sometimes you don't have access to a visual number and letter like this, and you never know exactly what channel you are on. So it also comes with an antenna, circular polarized, 4-lobe, right hand, very nice. You know, that's not something you want to damage, but for me, I decided to run this on an airplane. And the Eachine folks said, hey, what about a micro sky hunter? And I have to say that I have been kind of wanting one. I mean, they everybody says they fly great and they're little. They're a backseat airplane. You don't ever have to take it apart. And this thing literally, now there's a, if you take the black part of this cockpit piece off, there's a piece of wood under there for a larger camera. But I was like, I don't even need that. So what I did is I took an X-Acto knife and pressed the camera in where I thought it would want to live. This is a great place for it to go. And then I took some zip ties and it simply zip tied it to the foam that goes all the way through to the bottom. I actually put a little piece of cardboard underneath so it wouldn't pull through. And there you have it. It stayed on multiple takeoffs, roughs, landings. It did not care. So here we see the Eachine Micro Sky Hunter. Super cool, super fast build. And I've got to say, man, I flew it in some pretty good wind. It did not appear to care. And the goal was just to take this little unit out to the field and see what we had, see how well it put that 5.8 signal out in my 30-acre field out here. So I'm pretty comfortable and I know how far out I can usually go. So I just went on out there and here we go. So we're at the field in Nashville, Tennessee. It's December. It's pretty windy, little windy, more windy than usual for a micro sky hunter, I would think, although this is my first time to ever throw one in the air. This is actually the maiden that you're about to see. And I'm going to throw it up and try to trim out the elevator. And one thing I'll say after flying it a few times on this day is that it really took the wind well. Now it's got a 1500 3-cell in there. The camera weighs nothing. I have a 1-cell powering the camera for independent power. And so I haven't weighed it, as a matter of fact. It's something I should do. But it flew great in the wind. It was a pretty fast flyer, but I would get off the throttle and I never noticed any issues with tip stall or anything like that. I do have the CG set where they said that it should be set at. And so this is a good indication as to what the camera can deliver out in the field itself. I will say that in the goggles, and I'm running head play goggles with RHO lenses, that I never wanted for a better camera, or while flying, I didn't think, boy, I wish this or I wish that. It was fine. One thing that I will say, and you know, I feel like I'm seeing more grain in the DVR than I remember while I was flying, is that it was pretty seamless, the video, all over the place, all over the field. And I guess I'm still doing some low level there. What I'm about to do is stretch its legs a little bit, and we'll get it out over here to the edge of the trees. I never really go into the trees because that's not where our airfield really extends to. But I'm going to fly out over here. Then I'm going to take a ride out over the runway. And so I went all around the airfield on this day, testing it out. Now I'm looking at the video again, which I shouldn't be. I'm going to land it and then throw it back in the air here. And so we're back in the sky. While we're in the sky, let's talk about some things you want to know about this. It runs on 3.3 to 5 volts. So that's good to know. You do not want to run this on a 3-cell. You might smoke it if you do. So I'm running it on a 1-cell. And it is a 600 TVL. I believe I've already mentioned that. But, you know, it's not the highest TVL camera, but it is small and inexpensive. So you definitely are getting what you pay for. And once again, it looked fine to me. It's an NTSC. Mini illumination is 1 lux, and it has 100 degrees of viewing angle. It's got, this is nice, a 4-lobe right-handed circular polarized antenna. So just be aware of that, be protective of that if you're putting it on something that's going to crash a lot. So here we are scooting it down the runway. There were actually a lot of planes in the air today, so on that day I was being careful. 5.8, 5-band, 40 channel. And once again, the weight is a microscopic 4.57 grams. Crazy. So this is the TX02. And I did mount it on an airplane. Really, I don't know, man. Maybe this is really made for a tiny whoop or some sort of quad or something that you would keep indoors. I just wanted to see how far out I could push it. And once again, really impressed with the range on this very small, inexpensive unit. 600 TVL, by the way. So, you know, it's not the greatest camera on earth, but it is very small, very light, and literally could be mounted anywhere. One other idea I had was if you had a multi-camera system. So if you had a forward-facing camera, maybe a down-facing or a rear-facing, this would be a great setup to do multi-cameras on a single unit because it's light, inexpensive, and has good range. So I'm just going to say straight out, in my goggles, I felt like the video was better than what we were looking at there. But I don't know, maybe my brain was making things look better. So it worked fine for me in the field. It's the TX02 AIO FPV VTX camera from Eachine. So go check it out. There'll be a link and a full review on this with all the specs and things like that on rcgroups.com. It's in the description of this video as soon as it's live on RC Groups. I'm Jim T. Graham with rcgroups.com. I hope this has helped. Once again, super inexpensive, super light, super small, and great power. The TX02.